Terry support you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, like I mentioned before, I usually try to make these with, you know,
You're being recorded now.
oh, you're good. I usually try to make these with like a few key elements, right? So you want candidate name, you want, if they're a conservative, you want maybe 3 points: pro-life, pro-gun, pro-Trump, right? It can be anything though. If there's an issue that I knew in that district that's very important, I would talk about it. I just don't know off the top of my head a very important district in Oklahoma's 5th district. Important issue in Oklahoma's 5th district. But like with Harnett County, if Maggie ever wanted to do Rumble Up to support local candidates, I'm sure she knows all the important issues. You could literally just talk about just that. You could say, oh yeah, that thing on whatever, and just mention that in the intro. So you can later, you know, hopefully elicit a response. And then always I end with a question, so I can get that reply. The question is usually, can we count your support? Or in Kim Coleman's case, which is another candidate there, they have an all mail-in primary, so that question is, have you sent in your ballot yet? Because what I want to do there is them to tell me no, and then me saying, well, you still have time, and here's all the info on Kim and why you should vote for Kim. So you guys can send some text, and you'll eventually get replies. If you want to start doing that, and then when you get the replies, I'll show you how that screen
So
operates.
is there really a primary tomorrow, or?
Yeah, in Oklahoma and
Okay.
Utah. Yeah.
So I'm sending
Well,
this.
this is
Who
really
is
easy.
Ted? How does it
All
know?
they have to
Who is Ted?
Yeah.
see these.
So I
are
load up
see
lists. So that is
change
a
the
likely
name every
Republican
time they
voter.
hit
Do you
the-
have
so you
Ted
just
too?
have to
No, he has
find
someone
your
else.
name.
No, it says
okay.
it says this
So,
is
okay,
me.
well,
It's my
we'll
given name
send
is
this.
Michelle.
See if
Oh,
you
okay.
get
So I've
Yeah.
just sent like 8 of them.
Yeah.
Just hitting this arrow like it's.
So
Now,
each
How do I know it's sent? Because
Yep.
sometimes I
Change to
tap
somebody else.
things.
so tap it.
I,
As the name
I thought I
changes.
did.
So it's sent, and also if you want to make sure, because sometimes your service might not be the best or something,
Yeah.
you can click sent,
Oh, sent.
and then you see how it looks like that. That's good.
Okay.
If it wasn't good, it would
Okay,
say
yours is
not
sent.
delivered.
Will you
Oh, that's
follow?
cool.
Okay, there it is.
You put, they put your name in there,
Yep.
and they put your answer at the end of that paragraph.
Yep.
How long do they keep my phone number in there?
Rumble up.
Yeah, or like these people on texting.
They don't see your phone number. Oh, so yeah. So let me emphasize that real quick. So they don't see your phone number. They see a random 800 number.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So when they text back,
When they text back, all the text. Yeah, I just wanted to wait till we got
Oh,
the
sorry.
replies to
Yeah,
get there.
okay.
sorry.
But when they text back, it all stays. Everything that happens stays within the app. So don't worry about like someone cluttering your personal inbox or something like that. Everything stays within the app.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you
because
can.
that's kind of weird. Like, would they
And this
randomly
is
start
considered
saying?
robocalling or
It's not robocalling,
whatever?
and so the main difference is here's the difference. So with those like Domino's pizza texts that I mentioned, you actually opt into those when you on your order screen click remind me when my order's ready. That's an opt-in. These are not opted in. So the way to make it legal is you have to every click send. So it's just like
Okay.
you were typing their phone number in, but this just kind of automates it a little bit.
And that adheres to all FCC rules.
Yes, because
Regarding
Rumble Up
this.
wants to stay in business, and I don't want to go to jail.
Right.
So,
Neither does anybody else.
so,
Not today, anyway.
but yeah. So, but also, I will get to that in the replies section. We are also very consistent with removing people from the list for future contact, and that stays in a central database with Rumble Up on our account. So even if we try to load up a list for the general election or something, they won't get contact with.
So if this Ted that I just texted
Yes.
would say, "Stop texting me,
Yep.
take me off your list."
Yep, we'll get to that. So
Okay.
if
That's
you guys
something
want
you
to
want
get
to tell him.
If you guys want to get back to that campaign, so in order to look at the replies, you have to have it open. So open up Terry Nice again.
Oh.
Okay.
Go to replies. You probably don't have any if you only sent one. Yeah.
No.
It would appear
No.
there.
Oh, I
Okay.
sent like a dozen at least.
So if you
I
want
was
to keep
like-
sending,
I was
like,
sending a lot.
Send a couple hundred, because
Oh, just keep hitting go.
it's like
okay.
it's
okay.
like
So we
it's-
just go back and hit Terry again.
Yeah.
yeah, send a couple hundred because it's only like 10% reply rate, and they're probably
Send your
not gonna see
message.
immediately.
I don't have anyone to send it to.
You have to click send your messages.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
And
make
then-
changes.
Oh,
And
and
these
Yeah.
names are already
Okay.
programmed
Yes.
into there?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
just like
You
phone.
see how the names.
Yeah, I
come
see
out?
how they're
Okay.
changing.
Donald.
So,
Okay, cool.
Also, a question kind of came up. Just like phone banking, you're not gonna double text someone like you wouldn't double call someone. So the system's kind of smartly assigning you all contacts
You wanna do
as they
some?
come.
No, it's alright. I'll let you do it.
So you won't ever double like
I'm getting
you know no one in this room would double text.
Okay.
Alright.
And that's the beauty of this system.
Yeah.
You can sit and watch television, you
Yeah.
know where your thumb is,
Yeah.
and you just click,
Yeah,
click, click,
this
click,
is
click,
pretty
click,
darn
click,
easy.
click, click.
Yeah.
And where most voters are gonna look at a phone call that comes in on their cell phone, says, I don't know that number, I don't know
Yeah.
that number, I don't
Yeah.
know that number, and not answer, they're gonna at least open that.
Yep,
Yep.
You know, a great place is all those parents that go, if and when we go back to school, is those parents that show up at the school at 1 o'clock because they wanna be first to pick their kids up when they're sitting in the school line and they pick their
what are you
kids for 2
talking
hours.
about?
You don't do that, huh?
Wrong demographic. Wrong demographic.
Well,
I've never seen that happen.
no, but when you go out and you
I make you-
getting
Yeah,
activists,
sorry.
that's what you can tell your, the younger, if you can tap into younger folks.
And something
sure.
that we do also with Rumble Up, more so internally, but if Maggie ever wanted to do it on her end, is we do a lot of volunteer recruiting, event recruiting, event follow-ups, like quick example, when Corona started, you started to all go digital, right? So we did a Rand Paul town hall, and we got like 2,000 signups, and the beginning of coronavirus, so I don't know how familiar people are with Zoom, which is what we're using.
Wasn't
So
I hadn't
we
even heard of it.
we were
So,
hitting
yeah, I've
people
used
up,
Zoom.
the day of the webinar, like morning of, saying, "Hey, person, like, thanks for signing up for our town hall, or you all set, blah blah blah." And like actually, a lot of people needed a little bit of help, so we were able to
District
through text
convention,
message
we
kind of
use
walk
Zoom.
them through how to get on the webinar. And I have no doubt that increased our attendance. No doubt, because the reply rate on that was like very high. It was like 70% or something. People
And
really
it's
wanted
right now
to,
because everybody knows
Yeah.
it now.
people really
Yeah.
wanted to hear Rand Paul talk the day after. Actually, he like kind of went at Fauci, if you recall that like a bit
Yes.
ago. So that was actually a coincidence. We didn't plan on him going at Fauci. It happened, and our thing was already scheduled. So I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's one example, and there's all kinds of others. But anyway, we on the through the activist end, we're primarily doing issue advocacy or candidates. So we did a lot, and we'll probably still do a lot on reopening the economy. So we were
Cool.
texting like Wisconsin, Illinois, I think North Carolina a little bit, yeah, and a few
Only a
others.
little bit?
Yeah, and a few others, and getting, alerting. Well, one, you wanted to be a little careful on this issue, and we would just ask people, how is your family doing, And if they're like, well, I'm unemployed, and I don't know if I'm going to get back to work, we would hit them with that's terrible, and we agree, and here's a way to go call your governor to tell
that's
them
a good,
to, reopen.
Not our governor.
So are these canned statements made from our chairman or from FreedomWorks? What do
Everything
you-
you're doing is on behalf of FreedomWorks right now.
right now.
But
If and when
I'm still
we,
trying to jump the.
no, if and when we sign on to this program, it is my intent to get something like this.
Right.
Yeah.
It will be very similar, I've done this before with FreedomWorks, it will be very similar with, hey, did you know that early voting begins so-and-so? Do you know who your candidates are?
So we can just.
Are you planning to vote? And that's finishing up with the question.
So all of us doing this for Harnett County
It
will
will-
have the same messages.
Yeah, we'll have,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Depending on what campaign or
Yeah.
Correct,
what we're
okay.
working, what our focus is for that set of text messages.
And how often do you change messages? Like you would,
Oh,
Could-
Maggie would make them. I don't
Yeah.
make them.
but I mean, they could be changed daily in essence.
Yeah,
You can
You
literally, yeah. I mean,
Like you were saying, when you
Right.
start getting responses back, you can.
yeah.
alter and
Yeah.
add or subtract.
Huh.
Where do you get the phone numbers from?
So there are multiple ways.
People that sell them.
Are they
Yes.
legal?
Deep
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there are multiple ways. You could use your, which I've done before. I've used our own activist list if I'm recruiting for an event. So these are people who we have a relationship with. You can use voter files that you can get your hands on. I think some GOPs, state GOPs, will give you some information that's accurate. Maybe.
Because that stuff
Unfortunately,
on the voter registrations are basically public knowledge once they
Right.
get to the board election.
but, right, cause you can look that up.
So there you go.
Yeah. So
Some
you
of
can.
the, but some of the
Buy that,
GOP stuff is
Huh?
just not super accurate.
You can so you can do that, or you can purchase lists off of people who sell data, which sounds scary, but unfortunately everyone does it.
Mhm.
Your cable provider is probably telling someone what you watch and what you
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They've done that.
So, but yeah, so there are multiple ways. Usually when it's voters, we are buying data because I don't know everyone in the country. But if I'm contacting people for like a lobby day or something like that, it's our activist list that I know them. So,
Okay, cool.
so you guys, have you gotten replies yet? Anyone?
No,
No, let's see.
Try to go back and go to that reply section.
Yeah.
I did.
Very cool.
I got a yes, I got a thumbs up.
Yes.
Take me off your texting list.
Perfect. You have all of them. Awesome.
I'm voting for every conservative.
Here's someone not voting
Yes.
for her.
Here.
Okay, so we'll walk through all of those real
Okay.
quick. So for yes, you want to click on which one's yes.
I got a couple yeses.
Which
So Judy, you see Judy?
Oh, she's a yes. That's
Yes. So you want to click on Judy, where it says yes.
here. That's your phone.
Yeah. You want to tap on Judy,
I don't want to.
and now it opens up a little conversation
Right.
page.
Message.
You can either type it in manually, which I recommend against unless it's like a very specific question. But the pre-made replies are on the bottom left. If you want to click that chat bubble, and those are some responses you can give.
Oh.
So if they say yes, the
Thanks for your
ideal one.
support.
Yep.
And so what that does on my
Same.
end, the super important part here, super
This
important
is
part
easy.
here on my end is that when you do that, it identifies them as positive.
Yeah.
So now I know, okay, supporter,
Mhm.
don't need to waste time until election day. And on election day, we hit them up again. So you can do manual replies.
As
I
a
just will have
reminder.
no idea. Like, it doesn't tag them when you do manual. It's just like, I would have to fish for it in some way by like searching keywords.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I did not know that. When the last time I did it several years ago.
So that's fairly new because I
okay.
don't think Rumble Up used to be able to allow you to tag
Yeah.
up until probably like 8 months ago.
Mhm.
And quite honestly, FreedomWorks wasn't super good at it anyway. So
Yeah.
we're trying to I think we're at a point where we're just getting better and better. And I'm always experimenting with ways we can
Show me what
Try
that
to-
says in there,
ID voters.
because I don't see where the replies are.
So click Terry. Have you been
I
sending for
did all the
Terry?
positive ones,
Yes.
now I need to know what
Click
to respond to
replies.
the ones that aren't so positive.
Hit there.
It says
Okay,
no.
you have none.
Then
So
take me off
I would
your
just keep
texting
sending
list?
text
Oh.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
So how many did you send before you got a
Sorry,
reply?
Oh, okay.
Kirby, you have been
Yeah,
opted
it's
out.
not always
Okay.
100%.
Okay, so there is a response for that. Yeah.
So
See, they are so smart.
this person said this
Okay,
is not
okay.
Rhonda. Okay, so
Not
Yeah.
Honda.
Yeah.
Once
Perfect.
again, not my name.
So if it's
So-
not the person, click on that contact, that conversation.
go down here.
Yep. There should be a sorry to disturb you, I think.
Sorry to disturb you. You have been
Opted
opted
out.
out.
Yep.
What is
Oh,
that?
just use
That'll-
that.
That means
that'll-
they won't contact again.
Yeah, tell
See,
them
this one guy
sorry
gave
and
us-
we'll remove them from the
Here
list.
he gave his
Okay.
dad's number though. He gave a correct phone number.
Oh, so with those, I would just leave those alone. Or if they're, are they supporters?
Well, he just says, I'm Baxter Martin, his son. My
Okay.
dad's number is,
So I'll see those after, and we could like load up that contact, but for the sake for you right now, I would just leave it alone.
Just
Don't
say,
do anything.
Just
Yeah.
sorry, or you've been opted out, or
Not
just leave
opted
it.
out,
Just leave
cause
it.
yeah, leave it, cause if you opt out, I won't be able to see
see
it.
that new phone
So-
number that's the correct one.
Yeah. So
So
just,
now this person.
just say thanks. You can say thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to actually talk?
You can if you want. Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
She's not going to vote because Terry is touting building the wall while
Okay.
we have spent $6 trillion
Yes.
during the virus shutdown.
Well, that
This is
was
our
fun.
bigger fish to fry. So what could we send?
Quite honestly, it seems like that person's already lost, but if you did want to, for, you know, training purposes,
Yeah.
you have, I made 2 persuasion texts, so one is
What'd you
like,
say it was that I
you
didn't
know,
have on my phone?
how she's a
Google Play
conservative, and the
Plus?
other is
Google
her
Play.
story of being a farmer and then,
Google
you know,
Play?
making her own business.
Yeah.
Is that
So I
free?
mean, those are the
Or
2
you
I
gotta
have
pay
for
for that?
persuasion, but this
That's where
person
you
seems
gotta
already
have a credit
lost.
They
card
but-
in case you
I
purchase
could just
things.
say sorry
It doesn't
to
mean you
disturb
have to
you.
purchase
You've
things.
been.
It just
Oh
means,
no.
Or sorry you aren't interested.
it's kinda like,
Sorry, you
they
aren't
have my
interested.
credit card, because with Apple,
Okay.
because I go to the app store, some
Uh-huh.
apps you have to pay for, some you don't.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
they don't even.
So
let
they
you
take out the
have it
anxiety, and
unless
with a
they
lot of
get a credit card, 'cause
volunteers,
they don't
Yeah.
want
the
stuff with
anxiety
all
of
the
what to
bills.
say and how to
Because
respond.
I'm leery about putting.
You know, and then if
card
you have a
number on the
question,
phone,
if
though.
you're doing a campaign for me,
You know what I mean?
and some guy or somebody comes back with a really
That's 'cause,
wacko,
like, you don't own
crazy
it.
answer or question,
You know,
or why isn't the
this is
Harnett County
my
Republican
account.
Party doing this or more of this,
It's
and you don't know
all
how to
through
answer it,
Verizon, so like they already have
we can
it.
figure that out together.
Yeah,
It's all-
there's
And that might
But
be a
mine's through the
personal
government.
contact.
That's
yeah,
why-
there's also
yeah.
that option there that says,
If you had a
great
personal
question, I'll get
one,
back to you if you
have
saw that.
Yeah.
I'll see that on the back
Yeah.
end, and then I'll try to reply. Because
Okay.
we can actually reply on your behalf. But we usually only try to do that when it's like the day after, so if like, sometimes many activists don't get all the replies. And I'll open up the thing on the back end, and there'll be like 1,000 replies for a person that don't have responses, so we'll try to get to them. But so yeah, if there is a situation where you're not sure, that's a great question, is what you should be hitting.
Okay, now I just finally got somebody that said something, so how do I
Yeah.
respond?
Very good. What do they say?
Yes, I'm voting for her.
Perfect. So do you see the bottom left?
Who's the name
This
in
little
there
bubble
that they're,
here?
Yeah.
that they're voting for?
It's it'll say thanks for your
Oh,
support.
there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So
we're
click that
helping,
and then send.
Where do you click it?
You just
Anywhere?
These two
So
people
where
were
it says thanks for your
helping.
support,
Right now, I
tap,
just did it for
and then
Terry
send.
Neese
And Kim Coleman?
and Kim
Oh,
Kim
so
Coleman.
she
Yeah.
doesn't get all that, the whole
So
thing that was.
maybe if we
Yeah, they
would
don't
go to
Oh.
That's just the
this,
options
someone
that are-
would need
that are
to
available to you.
input all this
Yes.
information.
Well, Rumble Up does it.
Oh, they do.
I don't input it. You're not inputting your questions, are you?
I do all of it.
No, I mean the
You-
phone
okay.
numbers and everything and.
No.
I do everything.
Well,
How do you have
Which one?
time?
the phone numbers.
Your phone number.
No,
who
the phone
loads
number
the
to
phone numbers
contact
on
me.
there? Okay, so you, whether you buy a list or something, you're.
Yeah, we do everything. Me. I do everything. Yes.
For the whole country?
Yeah.
When
So
you
our,
sleep.
our team, you know,
Do you have a
I
life?
primarily, well,
No.
it's coming down to Maggie. That's what it is.
This is a vacation.
Yeah. Well, actually.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, yeah, we have a small team. Right now we have me plus 3 on the grassroots team, like national. No, I primarily make all the campaigns.
You came to Harnett?
But
Thank you, Maggie.
it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
But,
One of the benefits of being super active
Uh-huh.
and networking is you get to meet extraordinary people and work with extraordinary organizations. I'm a Heritage Sentinel and I'm a FreedomWorks super activist. I will tell you my preference is FreedomWorks every day, all day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Oh, that's a little much.
No, because Heritage talks a lot, but I don't see any grassroots action.
I did not see Heritage on the Hill during impeachment.
Yeah,
So
they talk a lot, but I don't see the grassroots involvement. And I'm a
All
bottom up
talk,
person.
no action.
I'm a bottom up person. I don't want somebody in Washington dictating to me how it should be done. I want somebody in Washington sharing with me how we can make a difference and pushing that chain up. I'm a chain of command person too. I'm ex-military. So I know that if you want something done, the colonel's not going to get it done. The grunt's going to get it done. So I'm looking for
Hard to picture
direction.
you as military.
I'm looking for direction and cooperation, and from an organization like FreedomWorks, their research teams are amazing. If I have a question about an issue or a bill that's on the Hill, Jason Pye, he's still the guy on the Hill. I mean, you
well,
want to
it's
know?
Jason and Sarah primarily.
Okay, Sarah.
Anderson.
Okay. So they're on the Hill a lot. You walk through the halls and legislators and their staff know them because they're up there pounding on desks and pointing out things and, you know, when we go up and when we, I'll give you
I sometimes bring activists there. That's my idea. I bring real America
Yeah.
to Congress.
yeah, and that's what we need to do. That's what this is doing. You know, we are sending out messages to our voters about our candidates to get them pushed into the position and get them pushed to the poll so we can get our candidates elected. That's the pure essence of grassroots.
Without really interrupting their lives much, which I
Right.
would think would be a big thank
The
you.
only other thing I like better than this, when we had a discussion about this morning, my favorite thing to do in the whole world is door knocking.
Yeah.
I know that takes a certain kind of individual, but I'm very social.
that sucks the air out of
I love getting out. Stephen loves
I'm
getting
not so
out
crazy about that actually.
and meeting people, you know. My least favorite thing is phone calls.
Well, I'm
Least
somebody
favorite
every
thing
day.
is phone calls.
I could do
But we also had a discussion. I was adamantly opposed to it. And we had a
You
discussion
were,
this
yeah.
morning with Darcy about texting can be as valuable as phone calls if you're doing your phone calls properly and targeting your audience properly.
Yeah, and I think they all kind of like complement one another. So if you have the same data set for door knocking and texting, you could walk a neighborhood around here, right? You know who wasn't home, and then hit them up with a follow-up text like, "Hey, sorry I was there this afternoon. Sorry I missed you. I'm running for school board or whatever. Is there a better time I can come by and we can talk about the issues?"
And
When you go door knocking, I mean, you're gonna have two extremes. You'll have those ones where the people will call your names and slam the door in your face, and you soon forget those. Those really, you forget those. But the ones you remember are the ones where you make a connection. We were door knocking one time, and the lady stepped out onto the patio, her front porch, and she looked up the street and down the street, and when she heard that we were there asking about Trump, she yelled at the top of her lungs. She went, "Trump, Trump, Trump," right on her front patio, you know. And then we got talking to her, and she says this to me. She says that she used to not support Donald Trump. She couldn't stand him. But then she said, the Lord came to her and said that Donald Trump has a warrior spirit and he was here to fight for us. And then that's when she believed that Donald Trump. And that's pretty darn powerful.
And you know, and there are the other contacts that you make that are just as valuable. The ones that they're not on your list, but he's out washing his car and she's playing in the garden, and they see you and they look up and say, "Hey, I'm in the neighborhood and we're sharing information about candidates. I know you're busy, but you got a minute?" And the next thing you know, you have somebody else, and they may have just moved there. They may be dissatisfied. They may be Democrats and dissatisfied with what's going on, and they're interested in talking about your candidates. So here, let me leave you some information. My number's on
You
the
really
back.
can make a difference in somebody's opinion when you knock on the door.
And when you look them in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I am so excited for our festivals that we have 5 in Harnett County. It is a target-rich
Are we
environment.
having any festivals this
We
year?
will
Well,
see.
there's a big difference when we go into some of these areas where then where you have to walk a quarter mile between the houses and you knock on their door, and I can't even tell you how many times I've heard this, is that I've lived here 20 years. You're the first person to
Yeah.
knock on my door.
So
Heard
that
that.
right there is like the game changer.
Yeah.
So like I was telling you before, I worked dozens upon dozens of state house campaigns, and like sometimes in rural areas. And that's the big one, because like I was in South Carolina, outside of Greenville. It's called Lawrence County, very rural, and I'm certain no one was ever coming to these houses besides us. And like that same story, we would go up these half-mile driveways, and they'd be like, again, I've lived here 20 years, and you are the first person to come
They
to my
didn't
door.
want to go the half mile to the
And
door.
you know, if the other team's not doing it, and you are, who's gonna get that voter?
Probably my most favorite, my most successful moment of door knocking is this one here. And this, I love telling this story, and it's the epitome of why we do what we do and why we door knock. It was, I don't know how many cycles ago, but Greg Gephardt was the point man for Dan Forrest here in the county, and he gave me a list of names. He goes,
2016.
he said, Dan Forrest wants you to go and knock and say hello to these people because he finds them important. There were 30. I got into the 29th one, and it's late on Monday night, the day before election day. The election day's on Tuesday. It's like 7:30 on Monday, and you know November, the weather is rainy and it's cold and it's drizzly, and I pull up to this house, and it's this long dirt driveway with trees on both sides, and it's like, it's like Halloween time frame, and I'm just like, yeah, I ain't driving down there. So I turn around, I drive away, I go, you know what? I got accomplished the mission. Turned around, drove up, knocked on the guy's door. He's like, oh man, I love Dan Forrest.
Yeah.
I gave him the card. That's okay. So that was like, I was very happy. I was like, cool. I'm glad I stopped there. Where the money making came is that the next day, at 7:25, the polls closed at 7:30. At 7:25, this guy comes running into the parking lot, goes running in. I say, hey, because I gotta go in. I gotta vote. He comes out and he tells me this story. He says he gets home from work, sits down at the kitchen table. He got a beer from the refrigerator. He cracked open his beer and he looked down on the kitchen table and he saw the card I brought him from the day before, and he remembered he didn't vote. And that's when I saw him at 7:25.
That was cutting it close.
As good as it gets.
Yeah,
And that's it's one vote. But here in Harnett County, we've had
But how
Three
many of those
votes,
one
three
votes?
I've experienced this exact story, and like people who've worked hard campaigns, they know this story, and like that's really where the difference is at, and that's the most rewarding thing. Like, I've won an election by like 9 votes in New Hampshire.
Wow.
We did door knocking in Irwin, and it was a very old lady, and she came to the door and she had her bathrobe on. It was a Saturday morning, about 10:30. She comes to the door in her bathrobe, and she said, "Nobody asked me for my opinion anymore.
Absolutely not. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nobody asked for my opinion anymore." And she was excited that we were there. And she said, "I've been a Democrat my whole life, but I'm going to vote for your candidate."
Wow.
So, and those are the stories you get. So
That's what keeps you going. I guess.
that's what keeps you going. Okay, are you about?
Yeah, so basically that is all the basics. Again, recap, replies are the name of the game. If you want to text on our behalf, please do. These are great candidates. You can look up Terry. It's Terry for Congress, I think. Something like that, or Niece for Congress. .com.
Just wait
So we will regularly be doing stuff. Maggie may plan on doing some things locally, so
And I will always support Freedom Works for what they do.
I do have a question though, because my brother and I talked about this last night.
So let me stop you right there. Since he is done, what I'm going to do is our next session begins in about 25 minutes and probably be a little bit shorter. There's a refrigerator out the back door to the left. There's snacks if you want to take a break, take a walk, get some fresh air, and then we'll start again in a little bit. Okay.
Well, that